can you save money on a honeymoon or any other big trip for that matter? But I get asked this question as a travel professional all the time. How can I save money on my big trip on my honeymoon? And today we are talking about the answer to that question. To give you just a little bit of a preview, I would say there are some very easy answers to this question that you might not like. How can I save money on your honeymoon? Oh, well, that's really easy. You can take flights that have like crazy 10-hour layovers or no layovers at airports where you need them. You can stay in a terrible resort, but it looks great online. You can get really like poor service, just places that aren't known to be great. You can stay in a bad, unsafe area of town. Those rates tend to be cheaper. You can do all kinds of things to save money on your honeymoon. But that actually isn't what you mean. And that is what we're talking about today. I am Mandy Horn, the Traveling Compass. I am a travel expert, travel agent, planner, consultant, lots of names, lots of hats that helps people travel smart. And these are videos that I do for my clients to help them travel smart and really help them, get the most out of their trip and vacation, which is what I'm all about. So today, this question of how do I save money on my big trip? Like I just said, there's some answers to that is actually are not what you wanted, right? You can stay at terrible places. You can not have the trip you want. And in the end, actually, those are very expensive trips, very expensive, bad memories. But the question, when you ask a bad question, you get a bad answer. And so what you really want is a different question altogether. How do I get the best value for my trip? And that is what we're actually talking about today. How do I get the most out of my budget? How do I get the most for my trip? So let's dig into that. Out of your honeymoon, how can you get the best value for your trip? So first off, let's start with starting early. I actually just got asked this. I was talking with someone about a cruise this week, and I get asked this all the time. What about last minute deals? Should we wait to book? No. I've put a lot of thought actually into where do we get this concept of the last minute deal? Like that there's all this stuff that if you wait forever, it gets super discounted and they're trying to fill it up. And maybe it used to be that way, I think, longer ago. I'm not sure. Travel has changed quite a bit. More people are traveling than have ever been traveling. So at this point, the last minute deals are more of a gimmick than a reality. What we see in last minute deals is the flights, you tend to be not getting ideal flights or they are more expensive than they should be than when you start early. And, you're not always getting your first choice of things. It's what's left over. And even what's left over may not be discounted. More and more and more. I see the best prices available early. Starting early is the new last minute deal. Don't wait. That's hard to impress upon someone if you're not looking at the numbers every day, but over and over and over, I see the best prices available early when flight prices are the best, when hotel occupancy and rates are well open and available. We are seeing good rates early. So start early is one of the first ways you can help make the most of your budget. Now, next up is travel on a shoulder season. Now, every place that you go has popular, times of year to go. But there's usually usually based on weather, like what their weather patterns, whenever their winter is going to hit in a tropical destination, typically the rates fall, but you usually also get rains and monsoons and other things that come with that. But there are these magical seasons called shoulder seasons on either side of their summertime or their peak season. And usually the weather is still pretty good, maybe even a little bit more mild than what you would get during their summertime, but the rates fall, but it isn't all the way into the bad weather or cooler temps or whatever. So the shoulder seasons can be great times to go to an expensive destination to make the most out of your budget. Now, this does require some flexibility. If you are taking a honeymoon and you have exact dates and that's when you want to go, the shoulder season may not work, but more and more I'm seeing couples who take the time to actually delay their honeymoon to a different time period and to make the most of their budget or to really get what they want out of the trip. So that would be an option, is to try, or to happen, if your dates happen to fall on somewhere shoulder season, you could explore that possibility. Now, you can also get the most for your money by considering all of the costs. When you are comparing two different options, it's important that you really look at all of the costs. And when I do cost analysis for my clients, I include things that they won't even be charged until they're there. Like in particular with cruises, this happens. But you want to consider all those costs because it can be really easy when you're first initially looking at things, or if you're online looking to go, oh, well, this one looks like a great deal and it's super cheap. But you're not considering my food costs, my airport transfer, my, whatever, the activities I want. All of those costs really have a bottom line, and some experiences that you may be passing over because you think, they're more expensive than another option may include more. You really have to know what you're doing. A travel professional is great for that, to compare all of the costs, or even compare costs across airlines. This is becoming a bigger and bigger deal with luggage costs and other things like that nature, that you really have to look at that bottom line and what all you're going to be spending to make sure you're getting the best and the most value for your money. I have some favorite resorts that are kind of up and coming. They're brand new and they are super active resorts. They're including spa treatments. They're including, hot rock stone massages. They're including zip lining tours and, diving experiences. And all these things that have often been optional for resorts, and the add-on costs, they're including in their base price. So it may be higher to begin with, but the possibilities of what you could do are so much more. Well, if you're a super active person and really want to explore a destination, that could be a great value for you and really make the most of your budget versus adding all those things up when you get there and decide you want to do some stuff. So make sure you consider all the costs. Another way to really get the most magic, the most value out of your money is to talk to a travel professional. And sometimes people forget this. Don't DIY your honeymoon. You can DIY a lot of your wedding. You can DIY a lot of your life, but do not DIY your travel. Talk to somebody who does it every day. Whether that's me or a different travel professional, we have a lot to offer, and we can tell you how to make the most out of your budget, as well as where not to cut. Like, yes, I understand that that's running at a super saver rate. Someone actually sent me a flight to Tahiti that they found looked, fabulous on paper. And I was looking at it and they're like, this is the cheapest thing we've seen, and I was looking at it and I'm like, well, that's because it's only for 72 hours. Like, you can only spend a max of 72 hours in Fiji, and then you have to come back. Like, that's the only way you can get this rate. Like, and that includes from when you land to the time you have to get to the airport to leave. Like, you're going to spend a day, and you won't even be able to get anywhere. I'm like, that's the honeymoon you want to take? No, it isn't. Of course not. That's not what you want. It wasn't the best value for your money. So talk to a travel professional to really help make sure you are getting what you think you're getting, that you're getting the most value for your money. And they can tell you, hey, this is, a great deal. This would include things, all kinds of stuff, like the tips I'm giving you now. Talk to a travel professional. Other ways to get value for your trip would be to get a package deal or a honeymoon special. Lots of resorts or cruises or other places include special honeymoon packages. So, you could, maybe it's champagne in your room or dinner on the beach, or, there's all kinds of different packages, but it gets you a little something extra for your money. So you might as well, if get the most for your money and book with a place that is going to do something special for you and really values that you're coming there for your honeymoon. Or you can get a package deal, which means combining your flights and your hotel through a provider, often at a discount. And the discount can be substantial, to the point that I've had some people talk to me about, they've been gifted, say, flights or gifted a location, a condo, a timeshare, and the cost is actually so prohibitive compared to what they could get as a package that they turn down their friend or well-meaning friend or family member's offer of miles or whatever, because it's actually so much cheaper to combine the two. I had someone say, oh, I managed to come up with some private airfare. Can you reprice the hotel? And it was worse. It was worse than when we had airfare added in, and they ended up just keeping their original package. So packages can be a huge saver if they're done well and they're done correctly. So something to look into and keep in mind. Also, another way to save money is to do a deposit program. Now, some people, they're going to have the budget eventually, right? After a few more months of working, but maybe you don't have all the money up front, to really start early and to get that dream vacation and get that best rate. There are lots of ways to do a deposit program. A lot of vendors offer this where you can do a low deposit and then add on monthly payments if you wanted or whatever until about 45 days before travel is usually when the balance is due on that. And that gives you increased time to make, what you wanted or save what you wanted and be able to put that towards the trip. So it's something to talk to your travel professional about on how to best structure that to make the most out of your budget and to enable you to start early, maybe even if you don't have every last dollar that day. Then there is, for making the most of your budget, is to shorten your stay. Now, so no one likes this option. I will be honest about that. But there comes a point, especially if your budget is very limited, but you still really want to have that experience, that you should consider shortening your stay to get more out of your budget. There's kind of a threshold on, it's just not worth it you shouldn't go, if you don't have the money to invest in that because you're going to be in an unsafe area. There isn't a way to afford this. I will recommend shortening your stay by a day or so, and it can do more than you think. Sometimes even a difference of $500 can drastically change the next tier level of resort or whatever that you are going to be able to get. So it's something to consider. And, do you want to spend 7 days at a place that's not great? Or would you rather spend 6 days at a place that's going to blow your mind? So adjusting those dates, the length of stay can help you make a little bit more out of your budget if you're limited. Then also you can be flexible on your dates or your expectations. Sometimes people are traveling during a travel window, like the holidays, Christmas, whatever, where it doesn't make sense to leave the exact day after the wedding. If you have even a day or two fudge factor, it can make a huge difference on flight prices, especially during busy travel seasons. Or, it may be that you want to be flexible enough altogether to go to a totally different set of dates or months when you can make more value off a shoulder season or just have more money or, more time to save after the wedding or whatever has you. Being flexible on your dates can make a difference for both flights and budget purposes. And then lastly, another way to make the most out of your budget for a honeymoon or other big trip would be to really consider your travel plans, your time, and what you're doing. Sometimes people plan they want to do this huge trip after a wedding. And we start talking about it. It's like, do you want to be traveling, like flying for 13 to 20 hours after your wedding? Is that what you really had in mind? Because that's what it's going to take. And you're coming off this experience to get to this destination and you're already tired from your wedding or other things. Is that really what you want? You're going to make this giant investment in a trip. Is that what you really want to do? So it's good to think through that and go, well, maybe I want to back off that and do something that's closer. Just making sure that those plans all align and really thinking through the experience with your travel professional who's going to ask you lots of great questions to make sure that this is what's happening so that you are getting the most value out of that experience before you realize, oh, this was not, I'm on a plane for 13 hours and I'm bummed out about that. So make sure you are really developing those ideas and what you want the experience to feel like so that you can get the most out of your honeymoon. So there's lots of ways to get the most value for your budget, and there's way more. These were the ones that occurred to me off the top of my head. But as you work with me as a travel professional, I have more that come up for your specific situation. So if you would like to work with me on your next trip, please feel free. You can drop it in the comments, PM me, or you can find me as the Traveling Compass across all your major social media channels, or my email is down here if you just want to email me old school, or you can call me, text me, send a pigeon carrier. I don't really care. Whatever. That is what I do. It was great to meet with you all today, and I hope that you will continue to travel smart. See you soon. Safe travels.